Hello YouTube, DutyRon back again with another video, and today we're going to talk about the Amber Guyger murder trial, a female white police officer in Dallas that is charged with murder of a 26-year-old black male. This is a really rough case to talk about, but it is ongoing, and I thought that it was a good idea to speak about what we know up at this till this point about what's going on in this murder trial. We're going to get into it right now, but if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can get all things DutyRon when I go live. Again, DutyRon, retired New York City police detective, 20 plus years on the New York City Police Department, and I'm here to talk to you today about the Amber Guyger murder trial. She's a 4-year police officer in the Dallas Police Department, a relatively large police department. I'm not quite sure of the actual numbers, but it is a major metropolitan. She has 4 years on the job up until the time of this shooting. This incident took place. I believe it was September 6th of 2018. In the Southside Flats in Dallas, Texas. She, like I said, was 4 years of experience in the police department, had one prior shooting in May of 2017. It was an incident where she was not the officer involved, but she was responding to police officers having a scuffle with a perpetrator. The perpetrator took the police officer's taser from him, and she shot the perpetrator, not killing him, but she was involved in a prior shooting in May of 2017. A lot of people weren't aware of that, and I did a little bit of a digging. So she has been in a police-involved shooting in the past. So that adds a different dynamic to this whole situation. And I just want to say hello to all my Patreon supporters and all the great people that are coming in on this live premiere. Thank you for positively interacting in the chat. Much love and respect to you guys for you keeping it civil in the chat. This is, again, a sensitive case. White police officer, female, shoots an unarmed black male inside his own apartment. Again, most of us that have looked at this case know that she worked a long day, 12-hour shift. We call it a tour. She returned to her apartment at the Southside Flats and thought she was going into her own apartment. The door was ajar. She went inside the apartment, heard some noise before going inside. She was off duty, but was in uniform, full gun belt and shield and everything. She claims that it was a 30 feet distance. The lights were out. She saw a silhouette. The person said, "Hey, hey, hey." She said, "Show me your hands." And quickly, in a couple of seconds, exchange of two shots were fired. One striking him in the upper right chest. And there's a lot to this story. Many people feel that she's lying. Many people feel that she cold-blooded murdered this guy. I personally don't feel that. I feel that she made a grave mistake. She made a tremendous mistake. She reacted quickly. She didn't sound like a police officer with a lot of experience. She seemed like she was unsure of herself, timid, and went to deadly physical force immediately. Now, I'm not saying that, in the same situation that I would have done the same thing. I'm just saying that I wasn't there, nor were any of us, so it's easy for us to Monday morning quarterback this thing. I don't think that she had intent. I don't think she intended to go to the wrong apartment and kill somebody. It happened. She admitted to it. The onus is on the prosecution to prove their case. They have to prove that the defendant intentionally murdered Botham John. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt the burden of proving that beyond a reasonable doubt that she went with intent to that location to kill this victim. I don't think that's the case. I think that everything that she did surrounding this case from beginning to the end was wrong. The texting and cheating with her partner is irrelevant when it comes to the case, but the prosecution brought that up for a very good reason. They want to show to the jurors that she's less than honest by having an extramarital affair with a married man. It just shows that she's not that her intentions, that she's less than a good person. It's a way to discredit her. But you know, the jury, when they are initially charged with this case, they're given strict instructions on not to put their bias into it, not to listen to anything that would sway them away from the facts. These trials are based on evidence, the facts, and you know, like I said, the prosecution has the burden of proving beyond a reasonable doubt that she committed intentionally went there and committed murder. And I don't think that they're going to be able to do it, unfortunately. I think that they should have, you know, went with perhaps a manslaughter charge or a criminally negligent homicide, maybe. But I think a manslaughter would be a charge that they could probably get a conviction on, because she was reckless. She, many people will say that she could have backed out of that apartment and shut the door and called for backup. There's many what ifs, but when these type of situations happen, it's quick. And I'm not saying it to defend her in any way, shape, or form, but I'm going to tell you that I've been involved in coming to the scene after the fact of many police shootings over the years, and it is chaotic and it does happen quick. And although I was never at a scene of a situation like this where the officer mistook their residence and found somebody in there. I've never been on a case like that, but I have been to off-duty police officers who were already in their homes and someone broke in and they shot and killed the perpetrator. But that's a whole different set of circumstances, obviously. But what I'm trying to tell you is that too is a chaotic situation. The adrenaline is going. The officer who's involved in the shooting, are taken to the hospital for trauma, PTSD type counseling. You're immediately removed from the scene. So the way Dallas let her stay at the scene was, to me, just that didn't seem normal, but it might be their procedure. That's the way they do things. Like over here in New York, in my area where I work, if an officer is involved in a shooting, they immediately remove him or her and bring that officer to the hospital for medical evaluation, and then other officers attend to the perpetrator that either shot or, they handle the case. The officer that got involved in the shooting does not do anything other than go and get medical treatment, and then just, remains under observation and gets assigned counsel, legal counsel. But in this case here, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things that the prosecution and defense want to prove. I think her defense lawyer did a good job of showing the jurors here. I'm talking about day 5, not about any of the other days, but in day 5, her defense lawyer, I watched the whole testimony with her and the whole day that just passed. I believe that he did a good job of showing there was no intent on his client's behalf, that she legitimately thought she was going to her apartment. They brought in witnesses. They brought in actual testimony from people who lived in that complex. A female and a male who lives in that complex, and they stated that they've gone to the wrong apartment at other times. But so this is a situation where nobody's a winner. We have an innocent person who is killed, has been shot and killed for no apparent reason. Other than she made a mistake. She admitted to that she made the mistake. She actually, in her testimony, admitted that, that she shot him to kill him. She said it in her own words. And, again, as police officers, you're trained to shoot center mass so you don't have the trajectory going and hurting innocent people. And it's the quickest way to stop the threat. Here in New York City, we're trained to stop the threat. And we're not trained to shoot to kill. We are trained to stop the threat that's in front of us. And when you hit somebody center mass, the chances of you stopping that person, in other words, having them come at you anymore, not necessarily that you're going to shoot them through the heart and kill them. You shoot them in the shoulder, you shoot them in the stomach, shoot them in one lung, chances are they will survive. If you do hit them straight in the heart and sever, I think there was an artery severed. I think it was an aortic artery or an aortic valve up in the top right here. That was something that he was not going to survive that. But so we're trained to shoot to stop, not shoot to kill. I could tell you definitively that's what our training was. We did receive 1 day of CPR training where there was like a Red Cross type representative and a certified CPR specialist came into the police academy, gave us one block. It wasn't even a full day. It was just one block. I think it was an hour or two of CPR training. We were certified. We never got recertified after that. I used basic first aid a few times on patrol, CPR many times, but I used a finger sweep to save an infant that swallowed a bottle cap, like a soda bottle cap. Her 78-year-old grandmother was watching, I think it was like a 2-year-old baby girl. She was playing with the bottle and she was chewing on it. The cap came loose and it got lodged in her throat. And the call was for a child not breathing. My partner and I were on foot. We were on foot at the time. And we ran to the location, which was just like a half a block away, up a few flights of stairs. And the grandmother was holding the baby. She was not breathing. I immediately took the baby, did like a visual sound for breathing. I laid her on the kitchen table, put her on her side, and gently patted the back. That didn't clear the airway, and then I put her on a side and did a finger sweep inside the mouth, and I felt the cap from the soda bottle, and I actually made the baby bleed, but I saved her life because when we took her to the hospital, the doctor said, had you guys not done that finger sweep, and I learned that in basic first aid in the academy, that she wouldn't have survived. She wouldn't have survived. So it was something that I did instinctively from my training. When this former officer, Amber Guyger, was asked about her CPR and why she didn't do it, she was more concerned about getting on the phone. She was on the phone with 911 18 or 20 times. She said, I thought it was my apartment. Let's listen to a quick video. Again, thank you to everyone joining. Thank you for anyone who's given Super Chat during this premiere. We'll listen to 5 minutes of some of the trial. I'll let you guys listen to some parts of day one. It's just a quick news clip, and then we'll go to the main focus here, which is the day 5, what happened, what went down today. So let's cut over to that real quick, and we'll listen, and then I'll be right back to you guys.
In day 1, we have learned what was happening.
Again, this is day 1, guys.
Courthouse for us tonight in Dallas. Andrea?
Yeah, Doug, that revelation was this ongoing conversation between Amber Guyger and her partner. This is evidence that the defense did not want jurors to see. Prosecutors say both officers deleted this conversation from their cell phones. And when asked why, Guyger's partner said this wasn't something he wanted to be reminded of. In the opening day of trial, Officer Amber Guyger saw her former partner take the stand.
Would you send provocative photographs of yourself to Amber Guyger?
Yes.
Officer Martin Rivera testified about the racy messages they exchanged the day she shot and killed Botham Jean. Want a touch? Read one Guyger sent around 9:30 that night. 30 minutes later, she texted, I need you, hurry. And then, I messed up, but using an expletive. Their messages, prosecutors say she typed while on the phone with 911 reporting she'd shot Jean.
Should you be giving 100% of your attention to the person who's dying in front of you, if you can?
Yes, you should.
Should you be sending text messages?
No.
John's family's attorneys called the messages revealing.
At the time that Botham was struggling to take his very last breath, we saw a police officer who was more concerned about herself.
Botham was my little brother.
Alyssa Charles Finley testified she spoke to her brother nearly every day, including the day he died.
He's still in my favorites on my phone, so I've called sometimes just to see if he will answer. So I haven't accepted it as yet.
Prosecutors say Guyger overlooked multiple warning signs, including Jean's bright red doormat, that she was walking into the wrong apartment. But defense attorneys told the jury she was operating on autopilot and made an innocent mistake.
She's thinking, oh my God, there's an intruder in my apartment. And she's face to face with him. She's within 10 yards of him. And he starts approaching her. And she reacts like any police officer would who has a gun with confronting a burglary suspect.
A Guyger's supervisor testified that when confronting a burglar like this, Dallas police officers are trained to do a tactical retreat and then to call for backup. But attorneys on both sides disagreed over whether that still applies when officers are off the clock. Doug?
Andrea, let's talk about a couple of things before you go. Prosecutors also brought up a phone conversation Guyger and her partner had. They said about 3 minutes or so before the shooting happened. Any idea what role prosecutors think this may have played in all of this?
Yeah, Doug, prosecutors say that phone conversation lasted about 16 minutes, far longer than their usual phone calls. And they even said that Amber Guyger pulled her car over while it was taking place. Prosecutors suggested that something may have happened on that call that affected her mindset just minutes before the shooting. Her partner testified, though, that he didn't recall anything unusual.
A lot to get to there. And also, before the day even got started, the defense asked for a mistrial to be declared. What can you tell us about what that was about?
Well, Doug, the defense revealed that the Dallas County District Attorney John Crezo actually gave a interview to a television station this weekend where he talked about the case. That's a problem because there is a gag order in place. And let's take a look at how the judge reacted to this.
Let me be clear. On last night, the evening prior to starting this trial, I let the DA do an interview about this trial.
Well, jurors told the judge they didn't see that interview. She denied the request for a mistrial.
Let me just say something about that. That's the most bizarre thing. I've never heard of that ever. The district attorney did an interview the night before the trial under a gag order. I can't even believe that the judge let this trial go, because that's grounds for total misconduct on the district attorney's behalf. I'm shocked that this DA, who I feel did a really good job today of discrediting this former police officer, I'm giving him kudos because he really grilled her on the stand. But for him to do an interview the night before, on Sunday night, before the trial started on Monday, I was shocked by that. That was shocking. But we'll continue.
More than a few eyebrows raised when we all heard that. Andrea, thank you. Day number 1 down. We did get our chance, by the way, to see the makeup of the jury as well while our crews were in the courtroom today. So here's what we know. We got 8 women, 4 men on the 12-person jury. 5 of them are black, 4 Hispanic, 2 people are white, 1 person of Asian descent. There are also 4 alternates. All of those are women. All of them are sequestered now for the length of this trial. Day number 2 of the Guyger trial gets underway tomorrow morning at 8:30. We have learned a lot on day number 1, but there's still so much to cover, of course. Guyger's attorney said today that she will take the stand at some point during the trial. We're also expected to hear about Guyger's training records, overtime details from her time card, also details of arrests made and citations issued on the day that Botham Jean was shot and killed. All of that was subpoenaed, we know, by her attorneys for this case. And you can watch every moment of the ongoing Guyger trial unfiltered and online on our website, cbsdfw.com. We'll stream it daily also on the
All right, so that's that. There's one more thing I want you to see, guys, from here. This is day 2. Let's watch quick day 2. It's only a couple of minutes long.
Cam video and a chilling 911 call, part of the second day of testimony in the murder trial of Amber Guyger.
CBS 11's J.D. Miles is at the Dallas County Courthouse for us, where the jury heard the 911 call that Guyger made after shooting Botham Jean and watched body cam video showing his last breaths.
This is body cam footage. The responding officers.
This body cam video comes from responding Dallas police officers running into the Southside Flats apartment building on September 6, 2018. They raced to the 4th floor with their guns drawn, unaware of why a man had been shot by a fellow officer. Inside Botham Jean's apartment, they found the 26-year-old man fatally wounded and started applying CPR. Amber Guyger watched the video along with the jury that will decide whether she should be convicted of murder for shooting her upstairs neighbor. Defense attorneys got officers to admit under cross-examination that they told Guyger to leave the immediate area when they arrived. But prosecutors suggested Guyger never tried to offer CPR to the dying man and instead spent time on her phone while other officers administered first aid.
What did you and Officer Blair begin to do immediately?
CPR, first aid.
Is that how you're trained?
Yes, sir.
Did you and your fellow officers stop for any reason?
No, sir.
And she's panicking, she's distraught, and you get her to clear the way so you can address Mr. John, correct?
Yes, sir.
And she does that. She gets out of the way in your direction, correct?
Yes, sir.
Prosecutors also presented video showing Guyger's keys would not have unlocked John's apartment door, and there would have been a red light flashing above the lock when she tried. Prosecutors also introduced the 911 call, on which Guyger repeatedly says she thought it was her apartment when she walked in.
I thought it was my apartment. I thought it was my apartment. I was going for it on Thursday.
In our coverage of the Guyger trial.
Okay, so that's day 2. Now I'm going to skip ahead to day 5, which was today, Friday. This is a compelling testimony that she gave. Let me just make sure this is it. No, that's not it. Okay, it's this next one right here, guys.
Former Dallas police officer took the stand in her own defense.
I hate myself every single day. I feel like I don't deserve a chance to be with my family and friends.
CBS 11's Shady Miles joins us live from the Dallas County Courthouse where the defense testimony continues. Shady,
Took the stand in her own defense.
I hate myself every single day. I feel like I don't deserve a chance to be with my family and friends.
CBS 11's Shady Miles joins us live from the Dallas County Courthouse where the defense testimony continues. Shady, a very emotional day there.
certainly was, Gilma. There were no visible reactions from jurors during Amber Guyger's 3+ hours in the witness stand. The former officer, for the very first time, offered her version of what happened and this tearful apology.
I feel like a terrible person. I feel like a piece of crap. I hate that I have to live with this every single time. And I ask God for forgiveness. And I hate myself every single day. I feel like I don't deserve the chance to be with my family and friends. I wish he was the one with the gun that killed me. I never wanted to take an innocent person's life.
Amber Guyger started her testimony talking about her dream of being a police officer so she could help people. But soon she was asked about the events of September 6, 2018, inside the Southside Flats apartment building. She told the jury what we already know, that she parked on the 4th floor instead of the 3rd floor. She showed the 3 different bags, including an armored vest she was carrying, that she says caused her to overlook the red doormat outside Jean's apartment. She says she didn't notice her key not working because the door was cracked open. Guyger then insisted. She yelled, "Let me see your hands," twice before shooting John, who she says appeared as a silhouette coming at her from the back of the apartment. After realizing her mistake, Guyger says she had to leave Jean alone in the apartment while calling 911 because she didn't know where she was. She claims she tried, quote, a little CPR on Jean as he was bleeding to death. But under cross-examination, prosecutors grilled her on why she didn't do more to save the man's life or consider just backing away from the apartment and taking cover.
Why couldn't you have given him full, undivided, and proper attention?
I was still on the phone with him.
You can put the phone on speakerphone, man.
I had so much stuff racing through my head.
At one point, the judge called a recess because Guyger was breaking down on the stand. How this apology and her explanations will play with the jury is something we'll know in the coming days. The trial will continue tomorrow, the judge says, because the jury is sequestered. Live in Dallas, J.D. Miles, CBS 11 News.
All right, J.D., thank you very much. As you can imagine, the interest level for this case surged inside the Crowley Courthouse when Guyger's testimony began earlier today. Our Steve Pickett live now inside the Crowley Courthouse with more on that. Steve?
It was a sight to see to be here in this building today. I can tell you, Ken, in courtrooms and offices, even in elevators, the focus of so much attention was that testimony from Amber Guyger. So many people watching it in this particular fashion. Take a look at what we found on virtually every floor of this building. Lawyers, clients, security, bailiffs, judges, yes, the media, all watching and listening to the testimony of the former police officer accused of murder in the death of her neighbor. Hundreds were watching on cell phones or laptops. The courthouse internet system here, according to personnel, was programmed to actually block all news sites because so many people were trying to watch the case on work computers. It was simply overloading the system. Those that were watching here in these hallways and other locations, they said specifically they wanted to hear Guyger's testimony.
I believe tragic accident. That's what I believe. I don't think she intentionally murdered anybody.
It was a bad move. There could have been other things she could have did. Taser, pepper spray, something. Why react and pull your gun out?
Those kinds of opinions, they vary throughout this building today from the top floor to the bottom. We saw people with those cell phones in their hands.
All right, so basically it's attracting a ton of attention, is what they're saying. But you guys get the gist of the testimony from today. It was compelling. It was, just, let's just hear this. Okay, wait a minute. I already played this. I had just one more clip I wanted to show you guys. I know it's just been a bunch, but I just want to make sure I get this to you guys. Okay, this is it. So this is her partner that she was having an affair with. This is her partner, Martin Rivera.
The Amber Guyger murder trial is now underway. What her patrol partner revealed today in court about their relationship and Guyger's state of mind the night of the shooting. But not before some hiccups.
So this is the married police officer that she was having an affair with, and that he was having an affair with her. Unknown if he's still married, but this is...
From the judge over a gag order, but it was Amber Guyger's relationship at the time that took center stage.
We have team coverage tonight. J.D. Miles for us, Steve Pickett. J.D., let's begin with you. Been inside the courthouse all day. What have you heard so far?
Doug, there were a lot of twists and turns during this first day of testimony. Prosecutors revealed for the first time of a tryst between Amber Guyger and her police patrol partner, and offered as a possible reason why she was distracted and not paying attention when the defense says she mistakenly walked into the wrong apartment and shot and killed Botham Jean. Amber Guyger sat through opening statements along with members of Botham Jean's family who wore red in memory of
That's his mom. Poor woman.
Presented the jury lurid text messages the former Dallas police officer exchanged with her patrol partner, Martin Rivera, in the hours and minutes before she shot and killed Botham Jean inside his apartment. Her defense attorney argued that the intimate relationship between the two cops is irrelevant and told the jury
that is
was
correct.
tired after her 12-hour patrol shift and didn't notice she was walking on the wrong floor and into the wrong apartment where she thought Jean was an intruder. Prosecutors say she should have noticed Jean's red doormat. Senior Corporal Rivera was on the phone with Guyger 3 minutes before the shooting. And he says they were talking about work.
To the best of my recollection, remember asking about the suspects to see if they ever confessed. And I really don't remember a whole lot else about the conversation.
Prosecutors say it's also telling that Guyger and her patrol partner, Martin Rivera, both deleted the text messages they had exchanged that night the day after the shooting. Prosecutors were able to recover those messages, which offer a different frame of mind, but whether it had...
All right, I just had to stop it there. Many times in the past, when I spoke about other cases, I told you guys how prosecution and evidence collection, detectives, computer forensics labs, they're able to get messages and things out of phones after they're deleted. She had an iPhone, he had an iPhone. They were able to, just as you heard this reporter say, this J.D. Miles just said, they were able to get the messages after they deleted them. If there was anything in those messages that showed or proved that she planned this or was trying to cover it up, that would have came out. And it will come out in court if they do have that. I think they would have already presented that because that would be a bombshell. The messages were probably sexual in nature as they reported. And it also was her trying to ask him, what do I do? I just shot somebody by mistake. What should I do? She was looking to a senior partner not to cover it up, but what she should legally do to protect her own rights. And that's, I think, from a law enforcement standpoint, what she did in those messages to him. And that's why she was so, she was trying to get a hold of him so fast after the shooting because she didn't know, she had no clue of what to do. And she was looking for direction from him. And plus, this was her lover, so... she was looking to maybe be comforted by, a familiar face, somebody who she was sleeping with. But like they said, that's neither here nor there. The prosecution or, the jury cannot say or use that in coming up with a verdict. I think I held you guys long enough. I give you my fair and honest opinion. I'm not quite sure whether, I'm not quite sure if I have an opinion on this case yet. I want to see all the rest of the testimony. Tomorrow, Saturday, here in the States, the jury is sequestered. So the jury cannot have any conversations with people about the case, and they're at a hotel, and they can't read the newspaper. They can call their families, but they can't speak about the case. They're closely monitored, so being sequestered is almost like being in jail a little bit. I want to talk to you about one more thing. Under Texas law, you have a stand your ground kind of law. It's called the Castle Doctrine. If you guys want to look it up, it's Penal Code Chapter 9, Subdivision D. And in that code, and her defense is going to use this, is there's verbiage in there that states if you feel your life's in threatened and you are she's under the premise that she was at her home. That's well established. They're going to try to, tear that apart, but that's what they're going with here, is that she felt that she was in her own home and that there was an intruder in there. And under that statute, the Castle Doctrine may or may not give her legal grounds to do what she did. So look into the Castle Doctrine, educate yourself on that. But what we do know here is that she was involved in another shooting in 2017 prior to this one in 2018. She shot and injured a perpetrator who took a police officer's taser from him. Again, this person was resisting arrest. She was found totally justified in that shooting. There was no charges against her. Obviously, she was out on patrol or in that CRT unit. I have no opinion whether she's guilty or not guilty, but I can say this right now. They won't get a guilty verdict on murder charges. I feel that they won't. I feel that she should do some jail time because she definitely was in the wrong. But this is all in the court's hands at this point. And I want to see the rest of the evidence before I start definitively going with something. So loosely, that's how I feel about it right now. I am a retired cop. I know how the job goes and how stressful and how quickly things happen. I feel that she was not a police officer that I'd want to be working with. I wouldn't feel safe working with somebody who is unsure. All the guys and girls that I work with over my years were all, for the most part, pretty confident and sure of the job. If you don't know 100% of the law and you only know 60 or 40% of it, and you go out there and enforce it, that's a tough thing to do. If you only know 60 or 40% of what is the justification to use deadly physical force, that's a problem. And I think that we have some things that we need to look into with our training of our law enforcement going forward to tweak it and tighten it up a little bit. And, men and women like this should not be out there on patrol, putting us as civilians, our lives in danger. I have stories that I could tell you of fathers. There was a case here in Long Island where a father killed his son with a rifle. The son put a mask on, like a Halloween mask, and was faking that he was breaking into the house, like as a joke to scare his father. The father shot him with the gun. So when you're a police officer, you have to make these quick split-second decisions. And there's been many times where I've come up on off-duty police officers in plain clothes in their home project. I worked in the housing projects, but we'd have off-duty corrections and police officers in the projects with, say, guns on them, and we're on patrol and we see a guy with a gun bulging out of his pants, and we'll get out and draw down on him. Hey, let me see your hands. I'm an off-duty cop. I'm a retired or whatever. It's a tense, quick situation. If that person makes a quick movement or goes and pulls the gun out or goes to pull something out, you have a split second to make a decision. Do I wait to see if this person pulls a gun out and kills me with it, or do I take action? So I'm just presenting to you guys that it's not an easy set of circumstances to be a police officer. You need a thick skin. You need to be quick and sharp, and you need to be good with your tactics and good with making decisions in a split second. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for coming in here. I will keep you updated on this case. Day 6 is on Saturday. look for another video from me probably on Monday or Tuesday. I'll probably wait till Tuesday because I want this to get deep into it before I talk more about this. Again, Amber Guyger was a 31-year-old 4-year police veteran. At the time of the shooting, she was 30. This victim, Botham John, he was 25, now 20, would have now been 26. It's a terrible tragedy all around. My heart goes out to his family. You know, I still support our military and our police 100%. This is something that she's not denying. She's admitting her guilt and that she made a mistake. So we have to keep that in mind for all the people. I've seen a lot of really bad, nasty comments towards good police officers like myself, and it's hurtful. So just realize that she is not saying he tried to pull a gun on me, he did this, he did that. She's saying, hands down, I made a mistake. But the district attorney, the prosecutor's office, made the mistake, I feel, of charging murder when they would have had a better chance of getting a guilty verdict on a lesser charge, which would still give some substantial jail time. So guys, again, much love and respect from my house to yours. Thank you to my Patreon. Thank you to my moderators. Thank you to people who leave me comments down below. Thank you to everyone who thumbs up the video, sends me emails, sends me messages and letters to my P.O. box. If you're not following me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all DutyRon. I have a Facebook, YouTube share group. If you want to be in on that, go subscribe to me on Facebook. Follow me on Facebook at DutyRon, and send me a request to the DutyRon share group. That's where we'll be sharing out all of our YouTube videos. I'm also on Periscope, so check me out over there on Periscope. Everything is straight across the board at DutyRon, DutyRon. So much love and respect to everybody. Thank you for joining. Have a great weekend coming up, and I hope everyone is doing well. Talk to you guys soon. Until the next time, peace.